Now, I got to do something fun last weekend, and it's really one of the primary missions of this channel. Earl Gallmer invited me out for a fly tying class for one of the Allegheny County 4-H clubs here in Maryland. We had 6 great kids who were already interested in fishing, wanting to learn how to tie, and it was really a great experience for me. Just reminded me of what it was like tying my first fly. So Earl, thank you for inviting me out, and kids, if you're watching this, it was truly my pleasure meeting you. You all did a great job on the flies you tied, and I hope you do stick with this hobby. It can really offer a lifetime of fun. So we do have a fly to tie today, and it is mid-June, almost hopper season here in the Mid-Atlantic, and I want to tie one for you that's done pretty well for me here. It's loosely based on Bill's hopper from the Federation of Fly Fishers Pattern Encyclopedia, but I do change it up just a little bit. I put some flash under the deer hair wing. And I tie this thing in several colors. Now you might think that finicky trout here would probably prefer this in some natural colors, maybe an olive or a tan. But oddly enough, here on the Savage River, purple has been my most effective color. And if you're tying this for your panfish box, and I do use this when I'm out chasing warm water bass and panfish, by all means, go crazy with the colors. I'm talking yellows, whites, reds, and then mix up the legs. Maybe use some barred silly legs or even glitter legs. The only thing I don't change is the deer hair. I pretty much stick with a natural for the wing. But it is a cool fly, and it's really versatile and not that hard to tie. So there you go, just a little bullet head flash hopper modeled after Bill's hopper in the Federation of Fly Fishers Pattern Encyclopedia. Now I'm tying this on a size 10. This is a 3X long curved shank hook. Let's pinch that barb and get this fixed in here. Okay, that's going to be fine. And I usually use the color of the thread for the body I'm going to use. In this case, we're going to go with purple. So lay a base down here to where we're going to catch in the rear part of the body. In the body, 3mm foam, about a hook gap or so. Let's catch it in toward the back. You can leave it a little long. We can always trim the back when we're done. So what I'll do here, a little pinch wrap, not real tight, but kind of tight, and several wraps here. I'll put a few in front of it and a few under it, because it's going to have a tendency to spin around. Okay, so when you've got enough wraps right there, take this up and we're going to make a smaller segment than the tail. So just bring it up a little bit and let's maybe a little more than that and pinch it right here and do the same thing. And now the third in the front segment, this is going to be the last segment. Everything forward of this is going to be the deer hair, head, and the legs. So let's go ahead and pinch this one right here and do the same thing. Now I'm going to snip this one off pretty short, not terribly short, but we're going to leave a little nub here that we're going to bury. And this will just help secure this foam in a little bit better. Now the next thing we're going to catch in is a deer hair wing. Just regular deer hair. This one's bleached, but a natural is going to be fine. So put a medium-sized clump in your stacker. Now here's a tip. Open it up with the tips going forward. Opposite of how we're going to, have them in the finished fly. So it will just minimize how many times you have to swap hands with it. So measure your body length right there where my fingers are. That's about how long I'm going to try to get this wing. So where my fingers are, I'm going to move it up to the front of the eye, but I'm not going to catch it in right there. I'm going to back it off just a little bit more where my thread is hanging, and then I'm going to catch it in right there because we're going to fold it back from the front there. So I'm going to clockwise spin this, and I'm going to put a couple of loose wraps right here, not real tight. It'll cause it to flare, and that's going to be fine. There's not a whole lot you can do about that. But here's the tricky part. We need to take some thread wraps going up to right behind the eye there. So maybe switch hands if you can, and then just pull this out and then work your thread up a little bit until we get up here behind the eye. See, I haven't let go of this with this hand. I'm going to have to in a minute, and it's still going to flare, but I'm trying to minimize it spinning around the hook, and it's probably going to some, but we'll be okay. So again, loose wraps right here, and I'm going to flatten this out as I go back. And just, you know, trying to keep these on top. If they spin around a little bit on you, you're still going to be fine. So now we can put some tighter wraps going back right here. And that head is spinning a little bit on me, but we're going to be okay. Next up, trim all this, the butt ends back here, and do cut this as close as you can get it. Okay, now that's a little bit of a mess, but that's okay. We're going to put a lot of thread wraps right here to really color it. Just kind of color this whole section right here in purple. And some of these patterns I've seen like this, people will put a little bit of dubbing down right here. And if you want to and make a really pretty fly, yeah, go ahead and do that. But I think it's a little bit overkill, and I think the fish aren't going to matter that it's a little bit messy looking. Okay, so we've got our thread at the back. Now here's a step that I do that a lot of folks may not do, and I put a little bit of crystal flash in. Now this might not add a lot to it, but I think it has made my flies just a little bit more attractive. So this is 3 strands folded over. See that right there? Let's catch it in with a loose wrap or 2, and then just kind of pull that back before we really catch it in. We'll trim those in just a second. Okay, let's cut these about the length of the body here. It might be a little bit longer than our wing, but that'll be fine. So next thing, just gather all this deer hair, and you know, gonna have to pull it back. We want to be able to get her tip it up there through the eye. So let's pull it back, you know, kind of tight if you need to, but our thread is in the back, and I'm going to put some loose wraps right here. Not real tight. Real tight and you might break some of these fibers, but you know, medium tight. And we're going to put several wraps, build a little band right here. And take a look at it before we're done. Can we get our tippet up through there? Yeah, we can. I'm crowding that eye a little bit, but I think I can get it up there. So I'm going to be in fine shape right here. Now for the legs, just a single strand of some kind of silly string, and I'm going to fold it over on itself right here. And I will just kind of lay it on top at first. Do, say, 2 loose wraps, and then position them on each side before I really tighten them in. So take a look at it. Are they coming off the sides? Yeah, I think they are. So I'll pull a little bit of thread out. I don't want to pull it too tight just yet. Now, several more wraps, and these are pretty loose. After you've done a few, you can tighten them up just a little bit. But before I snip this, I've got that loop up front, I'm going to go ahead and whip finish it. Now we just open this one up right here and check your legs. These aren't too long. If they were too long, you'd want to trim them. But see if we have any cleanup. I've got a little bit of cleanup. I've got some hairs, deer hair coming off the bottom right here that I don't really want. So I'm going to go ahead and just trim these. And take a look at that back tail. I think that's a little bit too long, so we'll trim this off a little bit. And there we go, bullet head flash hopper. That head's a little bit messy, but you know what? It's a fishable fly. I'm not going to worry about it. What I'll do, I'll just turn it upside down and put a drop of UV resin on those thread wraps right there, let them wick in, and then harden it with the light. So there you go, bullet head flashy hopper. Pretty simple pattern, but you know, been one of my better flies in terrestrial season. So I appreciate you watching, everybody. Y'all take care, and we'll see you next time.